All right, that's okay. So we're going to start our first look at focus and directrix. We just got done talking about the cheat sheet and how we'd actually make it work. So if you need one of those, we'll get that set here a little bit later. So our first job with all of these is going to be to go ahead and graph the parabola that we see there. Now, these first four actually look in a little bit different of a format maybe than you're used to. So let's kind of rewind and think about this for a minute. When we've been graphing most of these, they've been in like vertex form. A form that kind of looks like this. Now that really looks abstract, but we always had reminded ourselves that the H and the K told me where the center of my graph was. And then I could use the calculator from there if I wanted to, or I could use the 1 through 5 pattern that we've talked about as well. So on number 1, maybe just for this first one, I look at it in a little different of a format so it can kind of stick in my head moving forward where this vertex actually is. So here, basically all this is telling me is, oh, so when I don't see any pluses or minuses, my vertex is at 0, 0. That's basically what you're being told here. So I can get that dot on my graph. Now when it comes to graphing the parabola, I have choices. So here's how the choices work. I can either go to my calculator and just plug in y equals x squared, and do my second graph and get my chart up, get my 0, 0 centered up here, and plot some points, okay, which is always an option. Or let's say you didn't have a calculator available. Okay. Could I still do this? Sure, because there's a pattern that we talked about before called this 1, 3, 5, which basically means if you start at your vertex and your A value is 1, you can go up 1 over 1 each way, and then go up 3 over 1 on each. And if I wanted to, I could keep this going and go up 5 and over 1 each way, and I'd get the same points that are in the chart. Now again, it's a personal preference. Some people think that's cool because then they don't have to bother putting it in the graphing calculator and it makes it a little bit faster, but if you like the graphing calculator, I say you stick with it. So that takes care of our first part. You're like, okay, that's the part we've done already. When something new come in, right now. So now I need to figure out this focus and directrix thing. But to have that, I need to know what my A value is. What's my A value for this one? Okay, 1, because there's no number in front of my x squared. So my vertex is at the origin. So I look at this and I go, okay, so my focus is supposed to be 0, 1 over 4a. Okay, well I know what a is. A is 1. So it's really, okay, which is 4. So this makes this 1/4. So my focus is at 0, 1/4. Now you may be like, well, I go to plot that. You're not even going to be able to tell that I'm plotting it because it's like it's blending in with my vertex here. That's okay. That's why we also calculate it over here, so if somebody did come along and go, I can't really see it. Oh, that's where it is though? Okay. And we'll talk in a minute once we get the directrix up what purpose these actually serve. So then my directrix is a line, not a point. And it's the same thing. Replace your A with the A value and get it simplified. That's my directrix. And it's a vertical line, oh my gosh, Harty, a horizontal line, it's y equals, not x. So negative 1/4 is just below my x-axis here. So you're like, okay, so why again are we drawing these in? What purpose do these have? Well, let me tell you. Without focus and directrix, You would not have cable television. You would not have satellite television. You would not have cell phone service. These are used in satellite wave type curves. When you have any sort of a dish that goes on, this focus and this directrix are the two values that are equidistant, they're equal in length from every point on the parabola. And those values help determine how you can shoot the different satellite waves or radio waves in different directions. So this actually has an important application to you, not where you're having to figure out where they go necessarily, but what purpose they actually serve in society. So for our purposes though, we get the dot, we get the horizontal line, we're happy. So as we do these, and again I'm going to bounce around a little bit because I want to hit the weird things as we're doing them. So let's say we're doing number 2. What's my vertex on number 2? What's not clicking? Talk to me. Still at 0, 0. Well, keep coming with me because I'm telling you, we're going to do like a half dozen of these. It might be one of those where no. Ooh, that's it. Light bulb turns on. So without the parentheses and stuff, my vertex is going to be at 0, 0. So then I go, okay, what's my A value this time? 2. It's just the value in front of x squared. Good. So when I go to find my focus and directrix, and I can kind of keep my last one in the screen here to know what's going on. 0, 1 over 4, A. Now again, be careful if you go to the calculator on something like this, and I'll actually put one up to kind of show you what I'm talking about here. Don't get sloppy and do something like I'm about to do. Okay, 1 divided by 4 times 2. 0.5. No, it's not. Okay? Why'd that happen? Because it did 1 divided by 4 and then times it by 2. Do the multiplying part. Then if there's still something to simplify, that's fine. But in this case, there's not. So I've got my value. Okay, and we'll get to the drawing of this in a minute. I really want to stress the calculating part right now. So then my directrix is y equals negative 1 over 4a. And so since I just did 1 over 4 times 2, this is going to be kind of easy. And I can get that part. Now again, to get the actual parabola so I can get these drawn in, it's up to you the way you want to go. You again can go to the calculator if you want. Make sure your vertex is in the middle of your chart, which it is right now. And you can start plotting points. Now again, the pattern would be available to you on this problem. You're like, yeah, but it's not going up 1 and over 1. It's going like up 1 and over 2. Right. Because if you stop to think about it for a second, we said the pattern, if you were going to go that way on these, okay, it goes 1, then 3, then 5. 1 up, then 3 up, then 5 up. But my A value is different this time. So I multiply the A value by each one of these. So I'd go up 2, then up 6. So I went up 2 and over 1. Yep. Then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and over 1. It works, okay? You just multiply the pattern by your A. But again, if that's something you're like, not so much, that's okay. Again, we got calculators everywhere, so go ahead and use them. Once I get here, I just plot my point. 0, 1, 8, so just barely above the origin. And then negative 1, 8. And I'm good. So it's not much really that we're adding to what we were doing before, especially when we got a help sheet to work with. Okay. One more with the vertex at 0, 0. Then we're going to kind of change things up a bit. But if there's still some things you're kind of saying, okay, wait a minute, how'd you do that again? Let's kind of keep chatting about that. Okay, number 4, because fractions scare me. Well, not me in particular. Yes, sir.
What does this line mean at the bottom? Like under the x-axis? What is that for?
That is your directrix. That is a line that, along with, let me pull that back down.
I mean, like, what's its
Again, it goes back to like satellite waves, radio waves. There's this thing that goes on in nature when you've got a satellite dish or something like that, where your rays that are coming down, your parabola that's here is actually created from this focus and directrix, because this point and this line are all the same distance from every single point that you've got in this parabola. So like if I measured with a ruler, you know, how far is it from here to here, and then I also measured from my directrix to that measure, it's the same. That's where the symmetry ends up coming from. So it's kind of a little bit more of an upper level type thing where we get more into engineering and stuff like that, but definitely serves us a good purpose, because man, what would life be without cable TV? Okay, so I get here, vertex, well, we just talked about vertex and all of these. Vertex is still 0, 0. Now this one would be trickier with the pattern, because now we're dealing with a fraction. So I'll admit it, I'm a proponent on this one of just going to the calculator. But again, on fractions, use parentheses. Get some weird looking stuff otherwise. If you ever get one of these and you don't get a parabola, that's an issue. Okay. So I see all the decimals. Decimals are okay. So let's see here. Get these. Oh, I can even get an extra this time. So it widened up my curve by having a smaller a value. So I got that part. So just scooch this a bit. And again, I'm going to find my focus. Now this is going to get a little more interesting. 0, 1 over 4u. Okay. Harty's suggestion. Deal with this in pieces. You can do one of two things on this. You can either go straight calculator. You could do like 4 times 1/3, and then do 1 divided by that answer. You can do that. You can get some decimals. I'm not going to say that you couldn't. But let's say again, like when we were talking about with graphing the parabola, what if I don't have a calculator available, which is hard these days, I know, but just in case, you know, what would I do? Well, I'd do my 4 times 1/3, where you just multiply across. You're like, okay. But then, that would only take care of this. I'd still have to do 1 divided by that. Well, when I'm dividing by a fraction, that's the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal, or flip. 3/4, 0.75, same thing. So it's not like you're ever going to be in a bind where I'm going to put you with something where you wouldn't be able to do it if you didn't happen to have a calculator available. But again, either of those get me to the right answer, get me my focus. And then my directrix, again, using my cheat sheet, negative 1 over 4a. But do I need to do all this again? No, I just did it here, and now it's just negative. And I really do think some of you have an easier time graphing if it's the decimal form, and I don't have an issue with that. So I go ahead, I get my focus, my dot plotted. I get my line in and I'm good. Now again, the first 3 we've done have all been with the vertex at 0, 0. Okay, we've kept using the same formulas over and over. Now we're about to tweak that a little bit. A little bit. So as we head to the back, now we're going to be taking a peek at not centered issues. So you're like, oh, so the vertex isn't at 0, 0 anymore. That's true. So for instance, on 5, where's my vertex at?
Positive 4, 0.
Nice. Positive 4, 0, because it's like having this little plus 0 out here. Okay. So let me get that plotted. What's my A value this time? 2. So again, when I go to graph my parabola, into the calculator is a cool deal. If not, I can use the pattern, which again now would be up 2 and over 1 each way. And then up 6 in each 1 over way. But again, if you punch it in the calculator, you get the same points. I'm never going to know which way you're doing it, so whatever you're more comfortable with is A-okay on that. Kind of missed my dot there. But this time, when it comes to my focus in Directrix, well, things got a little more interesting. Because now I look at my focus and I'm like, ooh, H and K are in here now, but I get those from my vertex anyway. So my focus is H, K plus 1 over 4 A. So I take a peek and I'm like, all right, let's see here. 4 times 2 is 8. So that's 1/8. 0 plus 1/8 is 1/8. Or if you want to use the decimal form, I really don't care. So 1/8, barely above here. And then my Directrix is y equals, oops, I'm moving that out of the way here, K, which is 0 in this case, minus 1 over 4 A. And then I start looking like, oh, well, that's 1/8. 0 minus 1/8 is just negative 1/8. Again, the focus and Directrix are equidistant from my vertex. So if this is 1/8 away up, this has got to be 1/8 away down, and that's never going to change. So that can also help you if you get a screwy answer sometime to maybe say, wait a minute, shouldn't that look like, and then you can figure that out. Oh, let's see here. I want to find something weird. 6 and 8 going to help me the most? Probably. Okay, let's do that. 6 and 8 will probably be of our most assistance here, and then we'll get you rolling. All right, vertex on 6. Okay, -1, -1. This is the opposite of my H, okay. There's my H and K. So -1, -1. And again, chart, pattern, doesn't matter. Because what's my A value this time? 1. So I can go up 1 over 1 each way, up 3 over 1 each way, connect the dots, and then I'm ready to go here. So my focus is H, K plus 1, Harty, over 4 A. Now again, I would take the time here to simplify this piece by piece. 4 times 1 is 4. So I'd actually do that instead of trying to do everything in the calculator all at once. Now, if you know what that is off the top of your head now, let's see, I owe somebody $1 and I paid them back a quarter. Ooh, I got 75 cents that I owe them still. That's cool. Otherwise, you've still got the option of just going in that way. And again, I don't care whether you go decimal or fraction. Doesn't matter to me at all. But I've got to find that focus. And then my directrix again, we don't use the h, we just use k minus 1 over 4a. And we're like, well, that's 1/4, so it's -1 minus 1/4. And again, I owe my friend $1. I borrow another quarter. Now I owe 1 1/4, or the calculator works. And I'm ready to go. Let me look. Yep, one more to play with. I'm actually gonna play with. No, let's do 8. Okay. Last one, then we'll break down how the rest of the packet works for us. All right, vertex on 8. And I get crickets. Vertex on 8.
Oh, 1 -4.
1 -4. Thank you. A value -1. So I know this is opening downward. So again, I can plug it in the calculator. I can do the pattern. Down 1 over 1 each way. Down 3 over 1 each way. So one last time. Okay, my focus is h k plus 1 over 4a. Again, simplify in pieces so you don't do something silly. -4, so this becomes like -1/4, so I'm just going to put the minus in instead. And again, just think about money. I owe my friend $4. I borrow another quarter. Now I owe 4 1/4. My dot's inside my parabola, which is good because that's where my focus should be every time. And then my directrix, y equals, pull this down for just a minute. So there's my k minus 1 over 4a. Now I do have to be a little cautious here because this is -1/4, -4 times 1. But what happens when you minus a negative? Becomes plus. So I owe my friend $4. I paid a quarter back. Now I only owe $3.75. Equidistant from my vertex. So here's how the rest of this packet works with what you've got right now. The practice with focus and directrix is the actual assignment for this particular set of notes. So the next page is what the actual assignment is. The second page behind it is what we're going to be doing on Wednesday as a partial review of going over some of this to make sure we've got it. Okay? So today and the next day, or probably Wednesday, we'll see, depending on how we're doing with the story problems tomorrow.